Tori Pool is a Texas writer, comedian, and the director of events at Texas Public Radio, where she TPR, where she produces the station's live storytelling series, Worth Repeating, and other community events. A regular at Texas comedy clubs, Pool has opened for great acts, including Cristela Alonzo, Chris Estrada, Melissa Villaseñor, and Tom Green. When she isn't on stage, Tori enjoys cloud watching and begging her teenage son just to hang out with her. I relate with that. Please welcome Tori Pool.
Hi. Meow, meow, meow. Okay, so I used to come here when I was 17. Bob Marley Fest? Yeah, I used to underage drink here. Thank you. Who was the guy? Chris Maytree. Thanks for letting me underage drink here. I know you just got here, so that wasn't you, but it's pretty tight to underage drink here as a 17-year-old in the 90s. I know that wasn't you, but whatever. Happy to be here. Has nothing to do with this story. All right, let's get into it. You guys are tired and probably drunk. JK, okay. It's 2018, and I'm heading to Houston when I get a call that I hesitated answering. Yes, Miss Poole, I'm calling to let you know that you're being placed on administrative leave. Please report to district office after the break. No explanation. Happy Thanksgiving. Fuck. I never wanted to be a teacher. Are you kidding? It's thankless work. My teachers in elementary school smoked cigarettes at recess. They would exhale slowly, waving their hands at me like, "This is our time, honey, go play." They used to call me a social butterfly, which meant you talk too much and shut the fuck up. Go clean erasers. When I got to high school, my face at rest got meaner, which pissed off every female teacher within close range. My mouth got me into trouble, and I was skipping school, smoking all the pot, and got dress coded for having a chest. I even had my own desk in the vice principal's office, and I love that man. Best vice principal ever. School didn't make much sense to me. I was going to be a poet with Smirnoff Ice in one hand. I partied hard, and I worked harder. Rinse, repeat. I wanted to be Anthony Bourdain with similes. I got my GED out of boredom. I wrote, and I wrote some more. Hell yeah, I love to party. Poetry seemed to call to me, and so I rolled in community college, but it was just too hard. So many remedial classes and rude interactions with teachers that sucked, and I felt that feeling again, like I just didn't belong. And so I just did anything else. More partying. After a while, I decided, hell yeah, I'll get married, and then, oops, I'm pregnant. This dude changed everything. My baby, the boy that lived. I fell in love with him in this moment, and I knew that I had to do something to make sure that we had everything we needed, which meant my dumb ass needed to go back to school, and I needed to do it for real this time. You know what? The dropout that needed to take every math remedial graduated summa cum laude. I ended up teaching special education because I thought job security, and then I quickly taught high school English, which was kind of fun. I mean, if you've ever been to prom, it was kind of cool. High school English was cool. Students were what made teaching worth it. The adults were what sucked. I mean, teaching Shakespeare to high school gangsters, miss, this shit's gay. It was pretty fun. What I hated about teaching was really the adults. They were like mean girls, but way older with cats. The administration was worse. They didn't know what to do with me, and so I kind of just ignored them. I spent my time in the classroom. I considered getting my doctorate, and so I went back and I went for my master's. And then I heard about this job where I could write, and so I went for it. I landed a job as the creative writing director at the Northeast School of the Arts. It was a magnet program, which meant you had to get in, and you spent 4 years with one teacher. It was everything that I didn't think I could do, and what I didn't know was that they wanted a white teacher, which wasn't me. 15 preps, and all the students missed their old teacher, and it showed. I was constantly compared, and a lot of them made me feel unwelcome, and when they couldn't do it, they made sure that their parents did. constant complaints, and it was spoiled behavior that ebbed and flowed. And a lot of days were harder than most. When I didn't treat their sons like the next Stephen King, it was pretty bad. I had a principal that protected me until he couldn't because they let him go. Despite all the pushback, I was creating. In every class, I was doing what the students did, and I was pretty proud of all the work that we created. I started designing shows. The years passed. The complaints eased, or so I thought. I started performing. Then one day, out of nowhere, a student that was failing 2 classes submitted a very offensive script. And I remember saying, what am I doing? I'm working 70-hour weeks, and you turned in this piece of crap. What am I doing? Cut to me in district office, and there's a team of administration going through my Instagram, and they show this picture. They start throwing words like morality at me. And Miss Pool, is this a person that should be teaching? Are you fit to teach, Miss Pool? And Miss Pool, is this marijuana? And Miss Pool, can you explain this joke? And I snapped. And I said, if I explain this joke, well, then it's not really funny, is it? And then I got pissed, and I asked them, can you double tap? Can I get a like and a follow? And then I quit. Leaving teaching was the hardest thing I ever had to do. It was the first of many hard decisions. And then I realized that when something's wrong for you, you gotta change it. And then I landed at Texas Public Radio. Thank you. Sometimes it feels like a bit of cheating for me because I get to keep the best parts of teaching. I have the writing process. There's no more shitty parents, no more shitty administrators, and no more spoiled kids. What I will say is that teachers deserve better. Give them bathroom breaks to start. It's a different feeling when you belong somewhere. I felt pulled towards teaching because I wanted to be the person that I didn't have. Sometimes I worry about the me's that I can't reach now, but as my son says, what are you gonna do? Whew. It was the hardest thing I had to do. And people always ask me if I blame that kid that reported my comedy Instagram, if I'm mad for those adults that pulled all those kids in and built a case against me. And sometimes I want to be like, fuck them. But you know what? Bless their hearts. Life's a gift. And I have the power of story. And I get to stand in front of all of you today. And I know that life is short. And I know that life's a gift. And I know that that kid probably didn't mean it. And you know what? I'm a high school dropout that used to teach high school. And I'm a stand-up comedian. And I get to tell dick jokes. And my boss doesn't give a shit as long as they're funny.
Give it up for Tori.
Thank you.
So I'm not gonna lie, you gave me incredible big chills.
Was it all the cursing?
No, it's because we were both former teachers,
Yeah.
And I did 15 years in the the darkness, I guess.
I did 9.
Oh, shit.
And one of the things, we went through all this.
Yeah.
I know everything you're saying, and I do think about the wealth of intellectuals that are still there, in the trenches doing the work. But yeah, we went through the same thing, and it was difficult for us to leave, and it was one of the best decisions. But the question I want to ask you, though, is that we find ourselves with teacher PTSD.
Yeah.
What are some triggers for you? Because we got a list, girl. But what's a trigger?
I don't know. I feel like our bladders are the strongest out there. Like, I can hold it all day. I'm like, oh, you think I can't hold it? No. I think that, sometimes I look at, especially during the pandemic, I felt like a call to action. I felt so bad for everybody that was still teaching, and I felt like I should do something. But in all honesty, there has to be a great change for teaching. We've been doing it the same way for years, and
Yeah.
and we've been doing it because we are afraid of that change. And until we are ready to change, nothing is going to change. I won't pretend to know what it is, but I will say that it's been broken for a while. And to pretend that testing is the way and all this other, and to pretend like we know what it is, administration is fucked, and and we should start there. Yeah.
I know what it is. Administration weren't in the classroom. They were all coaches.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's start there.
Yeah.
And maybe read books.
Yeah. And honestly, and they just don't like anybody different. They want the same person teaching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be organizing teachers next week. So.
Yeah. Let's rally.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much, Tori. That was amazing.